and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the Audi 2016 MLS Cup Playoff Western Conference Championship conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Should you wish to withdraw your question, please press the pound key. Thank you. I will now turn the call over to Ms. Lauren Hayes. Ma'am, you may begin your conference.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back for those that were on the first conference call for the Eastern Conference Championship. We are kicking off the Western Conference Championship call today with the Colorado Rapids. We have with us head coach Pablo Mastroeni and goalkeeper MacMath. We will begin with some opening remarks from each of our participants from the Colorado Rapids, followed by a Q&A session. Just a reminder, please press star 1 on your keypad if you have a question for either of our participants today, and you'll be placed into the Q&A queue. If we could please have the head coach, Pablo Mastroeni, answer the first question if it's asked to both participants. The response will first come from the head coach, Pablo Mastroeni, followed by Zach. So if we could, probably your initial thoughts on the game headed into the match against the Seattle Sounders. What are you looking forward to in this game?
Good afternoon, everyone. For me, it's been a fantastic run. And, playing against a team like Seattle with the history they have and opening up in Seattle, I think is a fantastic opportunity for the group. Again, we want to continue to try to play the same brand that we've played all year. We've used these first 34 regular season games as a dress rehearsal for moments like this that are big, that are, at times daunting for other people. But for us, I think we have a great group, unified group, that is ready to go to Seattle and put our best foot forward against a very, very good team.
Thank you, Pablo. Zach, you are going to be stepping into goal likely, and this is a big competition to step into. Can we get your initial thoughts about facing the Sounders?
Yeah, obviously it's been a long time since I've gotten a chance to play. I'm very excited. Obviously it's an unfortunate injury that happened with him, but I'm ready to step up and help the team move towards our main goal of getting to the MLS Cup Finals and raising a trophy at the end of the year.
Thank you, Zach. Just a reminder to all of our media members to ask a question of our Colorado Rapids participants. Please press star 1 at any time during the call, and you will be placed into the queue. We will kick off the first question with Mr. Scott French from 442. Scott?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
hello?
I can.
Okay. Hi, Pablo. This is for you. First off, I'm wondering if you could give us your sense as to Gashi's and Jones's availability. And on Gashi, he became much more productive later in the season. Can you talk a little bit about his acclimation and fitting him into the way that you guys attack?
Yes. We'll start with Jermaine. Jermaine obviously played last night and didn't report any injuries, so he should be full go for the game against Seattle. Gashi is making steady improvements every day with his ankle. Having said that, we're going to continue to wait before making a decision as to whether or not we want him to go in that game, whether he's capable of going in that game, and or do we wait to have him at the home leg here. As far as his acclimation to the United States, to Colorado, to the team, to the style of play, I think it's taken a little bit of time. But the one thing with a guy like Gashi is that he's played at the highest level. Right? I mean, he's played Champions League games. He knows he knows the little moments that and what to look for as far as imposing himself on the game from an attacking perspective. Defensively, he's been really good. Pressing the game and understanding those things as well. And I think in the big moments, in the difficult moments of the season, you're relying on a lot of guys of experience to step up and make a difference. And I think Gashi's been one of the guys.
Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you, Scott. Our next question will go to Jonathan Tannenwald with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Jonathan?
I'm here, I think. I hope. Hello?
You are, yes, thank you.
This question is for Zach. Zach, it feels in a lot of ways like you've been in this situation before throughout your career, ups and downs, and now, after being on the bench for a while, getting a chance to step in a big moment like this. How does it compare sort of where you've been in the past, being on this biggest stage, being on a new team?
Yeah, I think obviously there's been a few ups and downs in my career, but it just goes to show that if you continue to work hard and do your best day in, day out, and wait for your opportunities, they'll come for you. And this is as big as opportunity as I'll get. Helping the team in the Western Conference Finals, hoping to get to the MLS final.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next question will go to Sam Faithful of MLS Soccer.
Hi, guys. Scott actually asked my question, so I'm all good. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. All right, we'll go to Michael Ang with SPI Soccer.
When and where were you when you first found out about the news that Tim was going to miss the entire playoffs? And what was your initial reaction?
I'm sorry, which participant is that directed toward?
For that.
I was definitely watching the game last Tuesday against Mexico. I saw him go down and then continue playing, and then obviously have to come off midway through the first half. I then texted Tim that night after the game. He told me that it didn't look good, and we were waiting for the MRI the next day. And then obviously when I came to practice the next day, pretty much knew then that he was going to be out for quite a long time.
And what are some of the difficulties that you think you might face, just leading up to the game and making that transition back to just being the starter again?
Well, I think, with the practice leading up to this game on Tuesday, I'll get plenty of, live reps with the first team, which is always nice. I think getting myself settled in that first 20 minutes of the game will be very helpful. Just kind of getting used to the pace of the game again. Obviously, it's hard to replicate game speed in practice, but something that I've been used to this year, and I'm excited to get back in there.
And I have another question for Pablo. I was wondering, before Tim came along too, Zach was already one of the best keepers in the league this year. What can you tell some of the fans who, might be worried about that transition in the goalkeepers in the next game?
Well, again, Zach started with the group in preseason, and I think he's proven over the course of 7 months until July that he's a first-rate goalkeeper in this league. Fantastic with his feet, great in distribution, making great saves, has a great goal against percentage this year. And so the one thing that we set out at the beginning of the year is to be a complete team. And I think throughout the course of the year, there's been our big players missing. Jermaine Jones missed the first 6 games, and then he missed 4 months. Tim Howard didn't come in until July. Gashi went away with Euros. Kevin Doyle was out for 8 weeks with an injury to his lower leg. And the group just keeps moving forward, right? And I think, like I said earlier, the 34 games of the regular season were a fantastic dress rehearsal for us. And, a guy like Zach coming into the goal is familiar to the back line, is familiar to the group, a great teammate of Tim's. And so this is not about individuals. This is about a collective effort in finding a way to beat a great Seattle team in 2 legs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Our next question will go to Sean with Post America. And just a reminder for our media members, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 on your keypad, *1. Thank you. So we're speaking over to Sean.
Hi, thank you. So my question is to both Pablo and Zach. Obviously, it's been quite a few months since you last played the Sounders. They've added Nicholas Ladero. I was wondering, how do you plan on stopping him ahead of this 2-legged series?
Well, without giving too much away, I think there's different ways you can do that. But I think for us is making sure we go to Seattle with the right mentality. And what I mean by that is full concentration for 90-plus minutes, understanding that away goals are very critical And so I think you can kind of read between the lines as far as, how important it is for us to make sure that we're going there with the intention of making this a great sporting event for the fans and making sure that we try to impose ourselves on the game in the many different ways that we're capable of doing that.
And I would just say that, obviously we've had the best defense in the league. We've proven that this season. And, those guys have played against, the best forwards in the league week in, week out. And we're just going to continue to defend as a team and as a group. And, let the guys make decisions throughout the game of what they think's best. And hopefully that will help us keep a clean sheet in Seattle.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean. Our next question will come from Todd from the Tacoma News Tribune. Todd?
I know when you guys acquired Tim, I'm sure the plan wasn't to sit him, but when you have a guy that was playing as well as Zach was, was it a tough decision for you to make the change like that, or was Tim's track record just too much to ignore? Can you take me through that a little bit?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to it than just changing a player that was at the top of his game, best goal against average in the league, in great form for an American legend, a guy that's done it at the highest level in World Cups, and so there's a lot more that goes into it than just that. Obviously, from my standpoint, it was a very difficult decision to make, and one decision as a coach that you don't like to make, right? Having said that, it's a part of professional sports that you have to make these type of decisions that aren't always the easiest, and may or may not always be the best for the group, right? But I felt that the moment we knew that Tim was coming, I sat down with Zach. We had a face-to-face conversation about some of the implications and how it could affect him. And again, with Zach, we came up with a plan, right, as to how we can best kind of look after Zach in the meantime and put him in a position so that if Tim goes away with national team, if something happens to Tim, that he's ready to step in and make a difference. And so it's almost ironic that we sit here today and that Tim is injured and Zach now has the opportunity to step in the goal in this type of situation. And so credit to Zach for being very strong mentally and prepared to be able to be in this position and to affect the game as he will in the next couple games.
And lastly, I know you have full confidence in this young man. Especially the way he's played and probably maybe the way he's handled the situation as well. Would you agree with that, Pablo?
I would agree with you. I think, listen, it takes a man, right, to be able to take that kind of information, given his performances, and not sulk and not throw his toys and not run out of the room and slam doors, but to look at someone in the face and go, okay, this is your decision. All right, I'm a teammate. I'm a team player. I got to respect that. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I respect it. And I'm going to go out every day and I'm going to prove to myself that I'm worthy of being a starter on this team. And I think that's what he's done. And again, it's about attitude. It's about mentality. It's about earning the right to be on the field. And I think, like I said, I think it's unbelievable that the situation happened. But what's more unbelievable to me is that Zach is going to step in between the pipes, full of confidence, full of belief. And the last 4 or 5 months of his career had a lot of adversity, but he's found ways to contribute while he's not on the field. And now moving forward, he gets one of the greatest opportunities that any goalkeeper would want in his career.
Thanks, Pablo.
Thank you. We'll take one more question for the Colorado Rapids before we transition over to the Seattle Sounders. This is from La Afición. Nico?
Yes, this question is for Pablo. Just if I could possibly just get two real quick. Just the first one is just when you have a guy like Marco Papa who has played so many big games here in Seattle, knows the field, knows the crowd, knows some of these players. How important is it for you to get some of his points of views or his views on the field on that game? And the second question would be, when the team has been so dominant at home, do you go away here in Seattle with maybe taking less chances, being more compact, and then try to finish it at home?
Yeah. First of all, with Marco, unfortunately Marco suffered just a little bit of a setback with a hamstring that's been kind of hampering him since before the LA series, and so we've been kind of cautious with Marco from that perspective. I really look forward to getting him back to full health, to be in Seattle, and I know how much it means to him to be on the field, to contribute, and to have an opportunity to beat his old team. And so from that perspective, I'm really excited about the progress he's made and look forward to having him with the group in Seattle. As far as the way we approach this game, like I said, away goals are huge. And being that we've been pretty good at home and giving up very few goals at home, I feel like there's a little bit to get after in Seattle, and picking the right moments. Obviously, we don't want to concede, but if it means that we concede to score a goal, then you'll take that trade off. And so it's definitely a balance to be had, but one that I would say we'd err on the side of being a bit more aggressive.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Colorado Rapids, Pablo and Zach, for participating. We appreciate your time, and good luck on Tuesday. We'd like to transition now to the Seattle Sounders. We have with us head coach Brian Schmetzer and goalkeeper Stefan Frei. We will open up with a couple comments from each of our participants, followed by a Q&A session. If you would like to ask a question, please press *1 on your keypad, and you'll be placed into the Q&A queue. If we could start with head coach Brian Schmetzer. Just your initial thoughts about this game coming up against the Colorado Rapids.
Well, we're looking forward to a great match. Pablo has done a great job with his team. I think early on in the season when we played him, some of the commentary that we had in our coach's room after we played him was that was a team that believed they could win, that they believed in the way they were playing. So we're happy that the first match is here at home. It'll be in front of a really hyped up, fantastic crowd, and our preparation has been decent. Obviously, there's been challenges with it being an international break, but the guys seem to be ready, and just looking forward to a really good game.
Thank you, Brian. And Stefan, your thoughts on facing the Colorado Rapids as you head into the conference championship?
Excited to obviously get the opportunity to play in the Western Conference Final. But like Schmetzer said, Colorado is a good team, a team that has a lot of belief in themselves and each other. So they're going to be difficult opponents. But also happy to be playing at home. But we have to make sure we make it count. People have been saying, the away goal rule is an important factor. So we're going to have to repeat what we've done against Dallas and get a good result at home and make sure that we try to keep that shutout and set us up for a good second game in Colorado. But looking forward to it. Should be a good crowd, as always, and can't wait.
Thank you. Now we will open it up to our Q&A session. Reminder, please press *1 to be entered into the queue. We will start with Sam Sissel from MLS Soccer.
Hi guys, sorry about that. I forgot to take my phone off mute. I'm just kind of curious about, and you both mentioned Colorado in your comments, but the challenge of breaking it down a team that's been so defensively strong this year and is so committed and disciplined in their shape. What kind of challenge do you think that presents, and how do you plan on breaking them down?
I think the same way we've kind of done it since our coaching staff, the new coaching staff, has taken over. We like to be a possession-based team. We like to make sure that we, find the right balance of playing direct through Jordan Morris's strengths, and finding that possession, that extended possession in an opponent's half of the field to create opportunities that way. I think you also have the set piece dynamic, I think with Chad Marshall and Ramon Torres, I think we have really some effective weapons. You add into that Brad Evans, who's very good in the air. You have Nelson Valdez, who you guys have seen score a couple goals with his head. And we have a formidable team on set pieces. The delivery, of course, with Nico has been tremendous. So, look, we know Colorado is the best team in the league defensively. We certainly respect that. And we will just go out there and try and play Seattle Sounders soccer. And if we create enough opportunities, I think we have the quality that we will be able to finish one of those opportunities.
And then real quick follow-up, Brian. You mentioned Jordan. How's he progressing with his injury?
Good. Every day he's getting a little better. So my mantra has been with all of our injuries that we've had as of late, it's all hands on deck. If he's healthy, he's going to play. So we are just keeping the fires burning, trying to get him on the field as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Sam. Our next questions will come from Jonathan Tannenwald and then Ridge Mahoney. Jonathan?
Brian, this is Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer. There's been a lot of high-pressure games that the Sounders have played over the years in MLS and even before that. How does this one compare? Because you've done enough to win the job. You've made this sort of late-season surge. You've got a lot of momentum going your way, and it from afar, it doesn't feel quite the same way that it did the last few years. But I wonder what you're sensing in that regard.
If I'm clear on your question, I mean, here's the way I would answer it, I guess. Every game since we've taken over has been a must-win game. We were so far in behind all the other teams that every single game that we've had so far to this date has had a big meaning behind it. I would say that the games, the later they go in a season, that ratchets up even a notch or two, because you see that the goal, your ultimate goal of winning an MLS Cup is certainly within your reach. So I think that it feels around here in Seattle, might not be in Philly, but here in Seattle, the fans that are out on the streets, the people that I talk to, my friends here around the Seattle area, I mean, it's a big deal, because people are excited about some of the turnaround, the story of the turnaround, losing Dempsey, losing our best player. There's a ton of good storylines here, so I think it's a big match, and it rivals. Okay, maybe it's not a cup final yet, but it rivals some of the very tough games we had against Portland. It's rivaled some of those games against LA. I mean, it's a big game for us, at least that's where I'm sitting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Our next question will go to Ridge Mahoney, followed by Andrew Harvey. Ridge?
Hey, Brian, you mentioned the international break. Because you're on such a great roll, what's been the message this week? What have you been trying to emphasize, because you don't have a game until next Tuesday? Are you worried that, guys will, just from a lack of competition, they might be a little bit off edge, despite the fact that it's a big game and a big crowd to kick off the next round?
Well, the messaging and perhaps more importantly, the way we train, I think those two are simultaneous. So the messaging has been, we're going back to work. I like to give the guys their time. They've after big victories, I like to say, hey, let's live in this moment. Let's enjoy this moment. But tomorrow we got to get back to work. I mean, that's kind of been one of our mantras. So the messaging has been, we got to get back to work. The way we train, how we train, the intensity of training has been good. I think that will help us. But You're absolutely right, Ridge. I mean, you don't know with such a long break. I know that every single player on our team, probably would prefer to just keep playing, because when the games are coming fast and, they were really into everything, the team performed and they did well. So we'll see what happens coming out of the break. But the messaging and the way we train, we've done everything we can to try and get them sharp.
Thank you, Ridge. We will have Andrew Harvey, followed by Sean from First America. Andrew?
Yeah, Coach, kind of following off of Rich's question, is there, within a 2-week break, do you feel that with the players or maybe with the coaching staff, you have to fight an inclination maybe to overthink Colorado, where you can spend too much time since you've seen everything out of Colorado that you're going to have a chance to before the match happens, that maybe you spend a little bit too much time looking at film or overthinking things?
Well, from that standpoint, it gives you, more opportunity to dig a little deeper. I mean, the devil's always in the details. So, yes, the staff, our sports science staff, our coaching staff, we've been able to pore over film. That's just more good information to make decisions. I don't think we're going to overthink things. We always worry about ourselves first, and we're not going to change to other teams. So we will just, take the information that we gather and, apply it to how we play. And I think that's important. I agree that, coaches can get ahead of themselves at times and try and do things. That's human nature. But we're trying to do the best job we can to fight that inclination.
Thank you, Rid. Andrew, we can open the line for Sean, First America. Sean?
Coach Schmetzer, good to talk to you today. I was curious, Colorado this season has been tremendous at home. They haven't lost a game all season. Defense has been particularly good. Does that put extra pressure on Tuesday's match to get a result at home against the Rapids?
Not really. I mean, okay, they're a good home team. You can tell by the statistics of every team in the league that, MLS clubs win more at home. I mean, that's a given. Some of the things, I think we stopped ourselves 20, 28, 29, some ridiculous number of home wins when Lamar Nagel, scored a goal late. I think the Galaxy were undefeated at home earlier this year. I think they had a bunch of draws when we went down there and got a road result of 4-2. I think that we like to play at home in front of our fans. I think that sparks the guys, and if we can get a result at home, that's going to be great. But if we don't get a result at home, we're not afraid to go on the road and have good performances. Early on against Orlando, we won 3-1. I talked about the LA score of 4-2. We went up to our arch rivals, Vancouver, and round out a result, missing a bunch of key guys. So I think when it comes down to this time of the year, I think the teams certainly have a little edge playing at home. But I'm not so sure it's as noticeable as during a bigger sample size of a regular season. I think these games are going to be extremely close, and it's just going to come down to which players on whatever team make plays.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Todd with Tacoma News Tribune. Todd?
Yeah, hey, Brian. With Zach being back in goal for them, do you view that as much of a drop-off, if any, in terms of losing Tim and going back to him?
Well, he had a .69 or 6.7 goals against average, so I'm not taking anything for granted or anything lightly. And I have to remind everybody that this is a team sport. And I know Steph would echo my comments that, you know, he's a tremendous goalkeeper. Steph's had some very, very good games for us, kept us in a ton of games. But he would be the first one to give credit where credit's due to some of his defenders and midfielders and even the forwards that track back at times to help him out. So with MacMath in the goal, we're taking it as Colorado is a good team. Again, I can answer that again. I mean, we lost our best player, and we've still found ways to win games. I'm sure Colorado, they've certainly lost a good player, but it's a team sport, and they will try and regroup and play. And you know, I fully expect them to play with, you know, confidence and you know, it should be, again, like I said, it should be a good match. It should be a good series.
Steph, it's just a question. I know nobody's asked Steph anything, but I mean, any part of you can kind of feel for Zach in the position he's in, kind of being inserted into the heat of the battle at a very pivotal late juncture of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it can be a difficult situation, but he's a veteran, so I think he knows how to prepare for the moment. He's obviously had a terrific season up until the point where Timmy showed up, and I think, you know, like I'm sure, like I said, he's a veteran. He probably knew that even though he wasn't the first keeper anymore, that he needed to make sure he was ready when he was going to be called upon. So I'm sure he's been preparing for it all these months, but now is the time, and then now he's going to have to go through it, you know, mentally go through it and make sure that when he shows up here at CenturyLink, which he's done before, like I said, he's a veteran. He knows what to expect. He knows what the crowd's going to be like, what the energy on the field's going to be like. I think that's going to help him. I have no doubt that for them, like Schmetzer just mentioned, you know, it's the same thing for us, that we've been kind of preaching that defense is a whole team effort. You know, it starts with the strikers up top, kind of, you know, shuffling the play over to one side, allowing the defenders and the midfielders to kind of feel where the ball is going to be or where the possibilities are for the ball to go, and that makes our job a lot easier in the back. And in Colorado, I think their success has been the same defensively. It's not just a one-man show; it's the whole team that needs to buy into it defensively, and I think that's what's proven them to be a very, very good team defensively. But like I said, he's had a fantastic year, and with all his experience, I don't expect him to struggle too much. Hopefully, we can make him uncomfortable as soon as possible, as soon as the game starts, and not really let him have too much time to find a way into the game. But he's a heck of a goalkeeper. So,
thanks, guys.
Thank you, Todd. Our last two questions for the Sounders will go to Nico from La Afición and then Rich Mahoney from Soccer America. Nico?
Yeah, hi. The question's for Steph. With you being a goalkeeper as long as you have and probably one of the best goalies in the MLS, I want to get your perspective behind Tim Howard and his career and what he's meant for you as soccer, if maybe this is a terminating injury for his career.
I mean, he's had, if you look at his career, he's had an unbelievable career, and it's something that I think a lot of young kids, especially in America, can look up to and kind of learn from. And it's funny you mentioned Tim Howard. I mean, I had a small interaction with him before I was professional. I had a chance to go to Chicago when he was still with Everton, and he was doing the North America tour for the preseason. And I trained with him for a little bit, and my mom actually ended up taking a picture of us training together, which I had him sign. But I remember him signing it and then writing on it, "Dream big," and that's something that always stuck with me. So even in a moment where I was already very close to the brink of becoming a professional goalkeeper, I was in college at that point, he still gave me extra motivation, kind of made me feel like, you know, this is the guy that helps me to make that next step. So he's been tremendous for I think for the sport in general. Obviously, his career speaks for itself. It's gonna hurt a team if a player like that goes down, no doubt. But he's been a professional throughout, and I don't know what the extent of his injury is exactly, but I'm sure he's gonna work his butt off to come back as quickly as possible. And as we know, goalkeepers can play a bit longer, so I expect him to be coming back and healthy and be the Tim Howard we all know.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. And the final question for the Sounders will go to Ridge Mahoney with Soccer America. Ridge?
Hey, Brian, can you talk a little bit about what you expect? We all talk about the game being won and lost a lot of times in the middle of the field, and everybody knows how much Ladero has changed the team. But you were talking, I think, a few times how much Ozzie Alonso has raised his game during this stretch run. Kind of talk about what that midfield battle will be like, considering the Colorado central midfield has obviously been an important component of their success as well.
Sure. Well, I'll start by giving a little shout out to our good friend Mr. Mike Azira, who has done a really tremendous job for them, and I'm really happy for Mike and the way it's turned out in Colorado. You know, you had Cronin, Jones. I mean, they have a very formidable midfield trio. So it will be a game where, you know, a lot of those plays that can make a difference in a game, you know, a lot of it will hinge around, you know, which group of three can kind of maintain tempo, dictate tempo, make some plays, get their team involved, get their teammates involved. So as much as I love Mike, you know, I love Ozzie, I love Christian, I love Nico. They're tremendous players. Each one of them, you know, would be deserved of an interview on their own. But since you asked about Ozzie, I'll tell you that Ozzie is having an MVP type of season. I think he has really refocused, really dedicated himself to be a good pro on and off the field, and it shows in his play. I've made him the captain in Brad Evans' absence. He's taken over that role very well. He cares about the team. You know, this was a team that, you know, that we signed him initially in 2009. So he and Brad Evans and Zach Scott have been the three guys that have maintained that continuity since 2009. So he is a big, big part of our club, and he has made a big resurgence. You know, you obviously seen the press about Nico and the talent that he has. You know, one of the guys that has made Ozzie a lot better has been the play of Christian Roldan and even Eric Freeberg when he's filled in there for me. So I think that group as a whole has done really well for the club.
Thank you, Brian. Well done.
Thanks, Ridge.
Thank you so much. That'll conclude our conference call today with the Seattle Sounders. Thank you to our participants, Coach Brian Schmetzer and goalkeeper Stefan Frei. We appreciate your participation, and thank you to all the media members who called in today. We look forward to watching the team play on Tuesday. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect. Thank you.